really tall. So tell me about Raleigh here. It seems like she's a good dog, but needs better obedience.
Yeah, so we adopted Raleigh probably about a year ago. And my youngest daughter, like just developed, like she was afraid of her. And it was kind of hard to manage that situation. So basically my mom said she'll take her.
Okay.
So that was great that she stayed in the family, my mom takes care of her. This is my niece, so she's like the primary caregiver of the dog. Like she takes her off for walks, does everything, she potty trained her, did a lot of stuff, but she's still having some issues with like walking and just sitting down. I think she's still young, so she's kind of got that high energy, like once she makes eye contact with you, she's really good with like if I call her, she'll come. But I take her to the dog park, and she does great with other dogs. She's playful. She's not aggressive. There's also 2 other small kids living at my mom's house, and she's great with them. Like just great around people too. Hasn't shown any signs of aggression. Even two doors down, there's a couple of, are they Rottweilers or Pit Bulls?
Yeah.
Rottweilers. They're super aggressive, but she thinks they're playing. So she runs back and forth. And I can see her dog wagging, but they're very aggressive.
Sure.
No interaction with them, but that's about the amount of interaction she's had. At the dog park, we take her. Fantastic. She runs around, loves it. Is making friends everywhere. But she's a pretty chill dog. I mean, she gets excited, which is great. She loves she has a pretty good life. But she kind of is like, she's got like a single child syndrome. I'm gonna do whatever I want, and she pulls a little bit when we're walking her. I just like to rein that in a little bit, and show her how to do that too. Since she's the one that's mainly the primary caregiver. So,
what kind of food is she on right now?
Just dry dog food, right? Do you know the brand of it?
I feel like she's maybe got a little bit of allergies.
Yes. So we noticed that. She's going next week to the vet. We're gonna go take. I don't know if we should. She suggested maybe changing it if we want the brand. See if that helps.
Yeah.
But
where do you get the food at? Like at PetSmart or?
Where's Brandon get the food at Walmart?
At Walmart. Okay. Chances are it's not a good food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chances are you're right. So,
yeah. If what I would do is there a budget for her food or anything like that?
No, I'm taking care of everything. So I don't want to spend thousands of dollars a week on her.
Right. Yeah.
No, yeah, I have no problem making. What if you suggest something? We'll work it out. Yeah, for sure.
I feel like it's probably diet related.
Yeah, I just from where it's at,
Yeah. And what I would do is if you go to Kreiser's, where are you guys from?
Bridgeport.
Down south.
Yeah.
So actually, there's a Kreiser's over by State, just north of Roosevelt.
Okay.
So it's right, just not too far from Bridgeport.
What's it called?
Kreiser's.
Kreiser's?
With a K.
Oh, okay, Kreiser's.
Yeah, Kriser. They're right there off of, I think it's 11th to 12th and State.
Okay.
So right in the South Loop area. But essentially, any food in there is really good.
Yeah.
The allergies can either be due to the protein,
sure,
or it could be due to some of the, the foods that they sell. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They sell at PetSmart. So, I know what the best brand at PetSmart is, and it's right even near.
What do you think about the raw food diet?
Yeah, raw food's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you want to do raw food, what I would do is I would put you in touch with my nutrition specialist, Maddie.
Actually, there's a guy that I work with. He's a fireman. He has a raw food dog.
He does a raw food diet, yeah. Because you have to. It's not just feed your dog meat.
Right.
There's a science to it.
Yeah, he's got either sells. It's either comes in a tub or the patties are great. Actually, I was doing that when she was a puppy. The patties were fantastic.
Okay. Those you can get at Kreiser's.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, if you go to Kreiser's, they have, and you can talk to them there as well.
Yeah.
And then if you do that and you see that her the allergies go away,
right,
then it could have been something either
sure, she was
food, additive or whatever. Otherwise, I keep an eye on the protein.
I also felt it helped with her coat too.
Yeah, I can see her coat. You can see how it's just kind of
it's just
coming out quite a bit there. So ideally less shedding as well.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, raw diet is the best diet.
Okay.
I don't do raw just because I don't have the time for it.
Yeah, I hear you.
But yeah, they have raw patties and stuff like that.
Right.
And then if you ever have any questions, that we're more than happy to help.
Okay.
But yeah, I was looking at her here and I can see her armpits and her
Yeah,
chest.
especially right along the line.
Yeah.
The line's right down her belly here, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So that looks like more like probably a dietary allergy.
Okay.
Because seasonal allergies around this time aren't common, but not to say that they can't happen.
You want to lay down?
So how did you guys come across me?
I mean, honestly, just like Google searching.
Okay.
And you read reviews, and you know, essentially this was it just seems like something feasible that, you know, everybody seemed happy with. There's another trainer out south. I can't think of her name. All I know is a girl that does her scheduling, named Melanie. I haven't talked to her yet. If I need to, even this was one of two that I was looking at.
Okay.
It was you, and she's like way south of here. You're not way north. I mean, I'm in Bridgeport, so centrally located, so it's easy for me to get anywhere. But I mean, I kind of read your reviews online and all that stuff, and I was like, yeah, why not? You know.
Okay. Then did you happen to? So I know you read the reviews, but are you familiar with how I train, the methods that I use?
No. I mean, I'm not aware with. I mean, the only training methods I know are like, you know, my dad with a spray ball and a rolled piece of newspaper when we were kids, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's about it.
Okay. So, with dogs we have behavior, then we have obedience.
Okay.
And like you have as far as you know, well-balanced, friendly, young dog.
Sure.
So obviously you're in the obedience, right? And just to clarify, just like as FYI, is like a lot of times people come to me and like the dog, like let's say like bites people. Okay. And they're thinking the dog needs obedience. I'm like, obedience has nothing to do with like biting people, right? It's a very separate thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we need both to work on the biting people, but at the same time we also need control with obedience to keep the dog, you know, or prevent the dog from doing those things, whatever.
Sure.
In your case, it's really just obedience stuff. And then what kind of like dictates everything is really just how much control you're wanting.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about your dad and like the roll of newspaper and spray bottle. The way that works is actually for behavior.
Yeah.
So like let's say she jumped on the counter, like just a whack with the newspaper.
Right.
Because it's an aversive to stop something.
Right.
So think of behavior as more like we're stopping something,
Mm-hmm.
and then obedience is we're teaching something.
Okay.
Like do this,
Sure.
right? As opposed to don't do this.
Right.
So I see here you already have a prong.
Yeah.
I do prong and e-collar. Okay. E-collar is more, I guess, popularly known as what's called a prong collar.
Honestly, I ordered one because I assumed if we did follow through, we might use one.
Sure. And then, do you remember how much you paid for it?
It was like maybe $69.
You don't want to send that back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll educate you on all this stuff.
Okay, cool.
So you're going to want a nice quality collar.
Sure.
Because it is an aversive, and we want to make sure that it's a well-delivered aversive.
Sure.
So the reason why I say that is the cheaper ones, like the one you got on Amazon, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Is there's a couple of things. One, some models tend to only have 10 settings.
Oh, okay.
Whereas mine has 127 settings.
Gotcha.
Okay, so 10 and 127 are the same. I just happen to have 117 more divisions.
Sure.
Okay, and people tend to think it's like 117 more levels. But no, like 10 and 127 are the same.
Yeah.
But now you have more breaks.
Okay.
Because what can happen is 4, she could be yelping, and then 3, she's not listening.
Oh,
so
right.
then you're stuck. Okay. The other thing is how the sensation is delivered. So like you're not literally shocking your dog.
Right.
It's not electricity running through your dog's body. Are you familiar with TENS units?
With what?
TENS, T-E-N-S units?
No.
They use that at chiropractors or physical therapist's office.
Oh, I know what you're talking
to
about.
move the muscles.
Yeah.
So that's an e-collar.
Okay.
Or at least a professional level e-collar.
Right.
Is like a miniaturized TENS unit.
Okay.
A muscle contraction.
Yeah.
So it's electric, but not electricity is how I explain it. So it's not like being tased.
Right.
It's the same technology that they use on people.
Right.
Okay. And the cheaper brands come across more so like a shock.
Oh.
So I had a client when I showed up for the consultation.
Sure.
They had already bought an e-collar, and I'm like, well, let me take a look at it. And they're like, yeah, it has 100 levels. I'm like, all right, that sounds decent.
Right, sure.
But when I looked at it, I'm like, this looks like a toy.
Yeah.
And then they put it on me, and they put it on 4 out of 100. And when I felt it, it literally jerked my hand.
Really?
And for like 15 minutes, I had a really weird sensation in my hand. And it's because it was coming across more like a shock, okay? So the professional level e-collars, we don't have that.
Okay.
It's the contraction, and there's no lingering like effect.
Sure.
Okay, it's just that contraction and we're done. Okay.
Okay.
Plus they last a really long time. I had another consultation I did. The lady bought like a cheaper, like $30, $40 one, and she had already been to like 4 to 5 of them because they kept crowding out. And I told her, I'm like, well, you could have just bought the one you would have needed is like, let's say $287. But you already bought 5 of these. You're already $150 in.
Right.
You know, if you would have just like, I've had mine for 8 years.
Yeah.
And I had no issues. So they're more expensive, but they last a lot longer.
What you pay for it.
Exactly. So I suggest you got an Amazon since you get it to send it back, get your money back. Because it's not a quality collar. I can just tell you that right off the bat.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I know you talked about like the pulling, like her not pulling, walking well. I'm assuming recall, which is
absolutely
come when I call you.
Yeah. If I get lucky and she just happens to make eye contact with me, then she'll come. You know.
Yeah. No, what we do, so e-collar, the reason why I use prong as well. But I typically use prong in conjunction with the e-collar.
Okay.
So like I had a lady, she was like 90 pounds.
Yeah.
And she had a 150-pound Great Dane.
Oh gosh.
Okay, and he was very dog reactive. So when he would see a dog, he started living and barking.
Yeah.
So she needed a prong to give her more physical leverage, and she needed the remote collar to help shut him down when he became reactive. Okay. So that's when I tend to use it, is when I need to like kind of compensate for things.
Right.
But almost always, it's really just the e-collar. Okay. Now the reason why I use e-collar is because right off the bat, you get off-leash reliability. Okay. It's the only tool that's guaranteed, or that guarantees you off-leash reliability. Food doesn't do that. Prong collar, it is a much better training tool, but once you take that leash off, you have no means of making the dog come back. Whereas with the e-collar, dog has the collar on, and you have the remote, you have a means of making the dog return. Okay. So it's the only, in my opinion, surefire, guaranteed way to have off-leash reliability. Okay. The other thing is, it's very simple. With the prong collar, you need more technical skill to use it correctly. A lot of people tend to tense up, and like when they walk their dog, they're like this all the time. And with the prong collar, you can't be like that because then there's constant tension on the dog's neck, and the dog doesn't know what it's doing. Okay. So e-collar, especially now in today's age where everything's at the press of a button, it's more kind of intuitive to people because they're used to pressing buttons. Okay. So it's very that's easier for them to pick up on. Also, age or size doesn't matter. So like with that young lady with the 150-pound Great Dane, she was 90 pounds. Yes, she needed the prong collar for like in case she turned a corner and there was a dog, but it was all through the remote. Okay, you press the button, the dog would comply. So, who would be her primary like handlers or who like it's the two of you?
I mean, it would be the two of us. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, hands down. I mean, her obviously like when I'm not around, she's going to be the one doing it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't live there either, so she would be probably A, and then I would be B.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted her to come with, so that she can, we can
learn and understand.
So she can learn as well.
Sure. So one thing about remote is that transference is very high. Okay. So it means when one person works with the dog, and then we hand it over to the next person, like 80% just transfers over. Okay. I work with a lot of couples. And there was one in particular, it was a little mini Bernedoodle puppy, like 7, 8 months. And the wife, who's like really small, did the first session. And the dog was just like pulling her all over the place, right? She did the training, and the dog was walking nicely. And then we said, okay, now we're gonna move to the husband. And it was like, he didn't have to do anything. Because it just transfers. Like that. So as long as he does, as long as he does the same thing. As long as you're doing the same thing, it's very simple, it just transfers. Okay. So pre-COVID, I would take the dog and I would work in front of you to teach you what to do. And then I would hand the dog to you. But then all the work would already have been done. Okay, so right away it was just transfer over, which was really nice for people. The con was the people didn't learn how to work through things themselves. So now with COVID, I don't touch the dog anymore. It's all verbal instruction. Okay. So it's all verbal instruction, and you're learning as your dog's learning, but it's very easy to do because of remote. So like I mentioned, like we record our sessions now. So part of that is because since there's so much information, it's like you're not going to remember everything. That you can go back and review your video and pick up on that spot that that
Oh,
you
that's
forgot, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is, like, maybe you're struggling with something. And I'm like, oh, here's another video from another client, same problem, and this is what happened. Like, this is how we fixed it.
Right.
So then you can see it and go like, oh, okay, that's what I need to do.
Right.
Because once you understand the concept, it's stupid simple.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of just getting used to and comfortable with using the e-collar to create the behaviors.
Okay.
So that's the main thing people have an issue
Sure.
with, is that they feel like they're hurting their dog
Yeah.
because of the contraction. Or, like, let's say the dog's great in the neighborhood at 25, but when they go to, like, the lakefront, the dog's not listening to 25 anymore.
Oh, okay.
And I need a higher number.
Yeah.
But then they feel bad about going higher on the collar. That's what inhibits people the most, is how they feel about using the tool.
Right.
Okay, so as long as you're fine with all that stuff, it's a very easy, like, just straightforward
So
process.
is the collar a constant thing, like, or is it like once they've learned the behavior, or are they learning it because of the collar? Like, what if you take the collar off? Are they going to have the same behaviors, or are they going to kind of regress to, like, not listening anymore?
Right. So, that's like a yes and no answer.
I gotcha.
Okay. So in the home, typically people don't need the e-collar.
Right.
Because it's in the home, there's nothing going on, there's not constant stimulus. Whereas outside, you have squirrels, you have rabbits,
Sure.
you have other dogs, you have people that coo at your dog, right? Cars and all that stuff, is you have more stimulus or stimuli to contend with. So in those moments, you have e-collar on, okay?
Got it.
So the way I explain it is, you drive,
Yes.
you've been on the expressway,
Yes.
do you go the speed limit?
Never.
Okay. But you're supposed to go the speed limit.
Right.
Now if you see a squad car,
You go the speed limit.
right, because now there's threat of consequence.
Right.
So think of the e-collar as a collar.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense? And it's funny because people will, like, argue with me and they're like, well, if you're so good at it, or if it's such a great effective method, why do you still need it? I'm like, it's not that I'm always using it.
Right.
It's just the presence of it, right? But I'm like, but not even people obey the rules. You know what I'm saying? Like, we bend the rules when it's because it's like, aren't you just speeding, right? Like, what can happen?
Yeah, right.
It's not like you're actively hurting someone.
Yeah.
It's how our brains work. So it's called opportunistic behavior. All animals do it, okay? So, of course, humans do it when we know we can get away with little things like that.
Absolutely.
Raleigh here would do it when she's like, oh, we're outside and you don't have the collar on.
Yeah.
Right? That's how that process is going to work.
Gotcha.
Now, if you go online and you watch videos, you'll find trainers who have dogs that are not on e-collars, and they're, like, doing really well.
Yeah.
But then I tell people, well, look at the environment.
Sure.
It's usually a very bland environment. There's, like, nothing going on.
Yeah.
Or two, the dog probably is e-collar trained, but you're looking at someone who does it as a career and probably spent hundreds of thousands of dollars training their dog from the moment they were 2 months to the age that you see them now.
Right.
Like my dogs, I don't need an e-collar.
Right.
Their training is not 100%, it's going to be like 80, 90%. I think it's still really good, but because I'm a trainer and I'm consistent, I have much better control.
Right.
The other thing is people do a lot of things with their dogs that I don't do. Like, I don't cuddle and coddle my dogs. Okay, but most people get dogs to cuddle and coddle. So, but that goes against the training.
Yeah.
Because with obedience training, if you say Raleigh, come here, it's come here. Right? Not a come here if you like. Right? But if you're cuddling and coddling, now you're bringing a buddy type relationship into the, you're bringing like a buddy approach to the relationship. So you can't be an authority figure and a friend at the same time.
Right.
Does that make sense? So I don't care that people do give their dog affection. I understand we're doing it for companionship. But if you're doing more buddy type stuff, don't be mad when the dog opts to not listen to you.
Right.
Because I don't tell my friends what to do. Right? Like, we're each our own person.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing for dogs. So if they view you more so as a friend or a buddy or a companion, whatever, they're not going to take what you say seriously. Okay? So, and the e-collar helps close that gap as well.
Okay.
Because it's like, all right, well, you're not taking me seriously, I can make you take me seriously. Right? And it's not, like, it's pretty straightforward. And in a case like this too, like, because there's no behavioral things, like, typically when I have a harder time, is because there's behavioral issues that also need to be worked on aside from the reliability of the training.
Gotcha.
And aside from, like, how the owner treats the dog. So if I have a dog that's very leash reactive and lunging and barking at dogs, I told them, like, you can't be coddling this dog because how do you expect to stop that behavior if the dog views you as a buddy? It's not going to stop. It's going to keep being reactive. You have to be on the same front, both at home and outside of home. Okay, which is almost always not the case with people's dogs. So, does that make sense in terms of like the presence of it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So my dog's been e-collar trained for 8 years.
Okay.
They still wear the e-collars, right? If they're gonna be off leash. Right? If I'm just taking them for a walk around the block, like I don't care.
Yeah, sure.
Need it, right? Because the other thing is you can account for life. So I was walking through the boulevard here with my dogs a couple months ago. It happened to me 2 or 3 times, and I'm not expecting anybody to set up a firework.
Oh, right.
And my pit hates fireworks. So I'm walking my dogs, there's no e-collar, we're just gonna walk, do a nice 3-4 mile walk. Somebody sets up a firework, okay? So my pit freaks out.
Sure.
And she's just on constant like high alert, like I wanna go home, I wanna go home. And I was like so angry because I was like, I wish I would have had an e-collar, because I would have been able to calm her back down again. But essentially, like, it was just me kind of like doing my best to keep her under control as we walk back, right? And I've had clients who were with their dogs at the park, and someone sets up a firework, and dogs run away. So that's the other thing, right? Like, let's say you get all this control, you get the freedom and everything, and you take Raleigh to the park, she's running around off leash with dogs and stuff, and then somebody decides, like, in the middle of October, let's set off some, like, fireworks. And now if she were to run away, I'm not worried about can I get her back, because I have this available to me.
Gotcha.
Okay? And that has happened to clients.
I mean, if I own it already, it won't happen.
So, what dictates the length of time and the cost and everything is really just how much control you want over Raleigh here. Okay? The 2 most important things a dog needs to learn are, of course, the come when called, and then the walk with me, don't pull. Okay? Because then if she's nice and easy to walk and she's a pleasure to walk, you're going to do more with her.
Absolutely.
Okay? Typically in the beginning when the dog's pulling the owner, where they're like, oh, this sucks, I don't want to do this. Right? Because it's unpleasant. So a lot of times when people do start the training, they're like, I do so much more with my dog because it's actually nice to do stuff with
Absolutely.
them. Okay?
Yeah, for sure.
So those are the 2 most important things. And then, so there's heel and then come. Then there's sit, stay down, and place. Okay? Those are like the other commands. And it's like, how much do you need her to do?
Well, I mean, honestly, right now, I'd love for her to come and call and, like, just have her walk. And I want to see, like, if she, like, well, not that I want to see, and then we'll do, like, I do want to do all that stuff. You know? But, I mean, obviously, right now, I'd rather have her, like, to be able to, like you said, like I said, just rein it in. Because she does get excited. Just like I'm sure any other dog does. Or, you know, like you said, a squirrel, a bunch of cars, or a loud horn, or a siren going by, or whatever. But essentially, yeah, I'd like to, number 1, come and call, and then like a nice heel, or be able to, like a nice calm walk, where you can kind of ring that in if something does happen. And then all those other things, I mean, I know there was a couple of other options that you had on there that I was kind of looking at. But like all those other, you know, sit, stay, like place, I'm not gonna like have her like, not yet, I don't think we're there yet. You know, but I guess we can be, cause I just think she's a great dog, and I wanna like do whatever we can for her, you know?
So the way the programs are kind of broken up, so I have 3, 6, 9, and 12. So far what I'm picking up from you is you're more in the 6 range. So the 3-week is real simple, it's centered around leash walking for people that have reactive dogs. Right, so they're like, my dog lives and barks, and that's all I care about. So I go, okay, that's 3 classes. The 6 classes is the leash walking and the recall. So think of the 6 classes as kind of like I walk my dog on a leash, and I take them to the park or the dog park, and they're off leash, and I need them to come back, and then I walk them back home on a leash. The 9-week program is like that stuff, walk my dog, go to the dog park, and take my dog to like a restaurant patio. So that's where we need like stationary control. And then the 12-week program is all of that stuff, and we go to off-leash reliability, because like the owner goes hiking with their dog, maybe goes to the extra dog leash. So there's a lot of off-leash stuff going on. So you're like in that 6-week range. So within the 6 classes, what you can expect to get done is it's typically 2 classes for the heel. It's usually the first thing that we teach. And then it's 2 classes for recall. Recall does take people the longest to teach. Because it requires that you go somewhere with Raleigh to practice on a regular basis. So if you go once a week to practice recall, it's going to take you a really long time to be reliable. If you're practicing 3 times on the recall every day, you're going to get it done fairly quickly. So that one takes the longest but I teach you everything you need in order to get it to be off-leash reliable.
Cool.
Okay? Classes 5 and 6 would be, it's either we can keep reviewing things, like if maybe you're struggling with something, or we can teach that stationary control. So there's what we call it, I call it trifecta of dog training.
Yeah.
It's come here, walk with me, and don't move. Okay? So, if you're doing your
that just made it really like, yes.
Yeah.
All of it.
This is very simple.
Yeah.
Is, if you're doing your homework, it's 2 on the heel, 2 on the recall, which leaves us to work with anything else, right? So then I just simplify it, and like, so you see that place back there?
Yeah.
That's what we use for place.
Okay.
The reason why I do that now is because it's easy for you to teach.
Sure.
It's just Raleigh, go here. She goes in the bed, and I don't care if she sits, stands, or lays down.
Right.
She just can't step off of the bed.
Gotcha.
Okay, so what we do with this is like, let's say you're gonna have guests come over, and maybe she's too friendly and jumping on people.
Sit down.
Is you have a means of having her under control, and her not moving, so therefore she doesn't bother the people.
Yeah.
Or if you want to take her to a friend's house, maybe she's getting a little bit too rambunctious with the kids, you want to put her under control, you have a command like that in play. Okay, that's typically 1 class. Okay, then the 6th class for most of my clients is an overview where we review everything that we've covered, make sure they're remembering everything correctly, make sure we're practicing it correctly, and then you just go and you finish practicing again. The recall will take longer, but you're going to have the tools and the know-how to get it to be reliable. Okay?
Yeah.
In terms of like the collar, how much does she weigh?
She's probably about 40 pounds.
40 pounds. Okay.
35, 40 pounds.
Sure. So the collar I recommend for you, and Maria will send you all this information by the way, is the dog to 2300.
Okay.
It runs about 287-ish with caps. Again, it'll last you a really long time. Fully waterproof, both the remote and the collar.
Okay.
3/4 mile range, so plenty of range for the standard family pet. Yeah. Because it's meant for hunting dogs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now in the city, you wouldn't get that much range because of the buildings,
Right.
but you're going to get plenty of range for your dog.
Yeah.
Okay. If something were to pop up during the training program and you're like, hey man, like this came up, this is a concern, like we didn't expect this, I have no problem shifting gears.
Okay.
And covering it, but by the end of the 6 classes, like we may not cover everything that you're wanting to cover.
Gotcha.
Okay. I don't foresee it here, but just letting you know if something pops up.
Oh, yeah.
Questions so far?
Do you have anything? No? Do you do all that stuff?
So because of COVID, again, we've changed how we operated. I used to travel to all my clients.
Yeah.
Okay. But now, because I see up to like 8 people a day, if I go to one person's house and they have COVID, and then I see 7 other people, obviously I'm like, was it a super spreader or something?
Right.
So what we started doing was meeting at Oz Park.
Okay.
But it's getting colder now.
Yeah.
Now I still have some clients that are still meeting at Oz Park. We left it optional to them.
Right.
But we also have my facility here. So this place is, the building is 17,000 square feet. I have 13,000, and my training floor is about 5,000 to 6,000.
Okay.
So it's plenty of open space for us to work.
Yeah.
The nice thing about Oz Park during the summer was because it was crazy busy, is we were in a very realistic environment, right? So people loved it there. But now it's not really worth it anymore just because no one's there now.
Yeah, you know I have no problem coming here or whatever. Whatever venue you choose. Yeah, I mean honestly, like whatever's best for the dog. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And whatever is easier to like just. It's easier for her to learn and for her to learn. Sure. And then I'll be in there. I'll be here too doing just. I mean, it's going to be both of us.
Correct. Yeah, it's going to be busy.
So I like her to put the work in too, though, because she's going to be the one with the dog 24/7.
Correct. So yes, we have options, and like because one concern for people was like, well, if I train inside, is it going to be as effective outside? I'm like, well, the only thing that's going to change is your number.
Yeah.
Right. Because if there's nothing going on here and it's a low number, the way I teach is I teach you how to adapt to the situation.
Perfect.
So then it's not even an issue. Okay.
And then the nice thing too is like I take her to a couple dog parks. So there's one like in Bronzeville that we go to. The one she loves the most, to be honest with you, is out like Lamont Road, like Darien. Okay. And because they live by Midway.
Gotcha.
So we shoot out to Darien. It's a 20-minute ride, and it's huge dog park. It's nice fenced in, and all. Like she loves going out there.
Gotcha.
It's got all different kinds of. It's got all different kinds. Like it's got like tall grass. short grass. It's got like concrete pad. And
Oh, nice.
they're all over she's all over there. She loves that place. But
Sure.
yeah, we do go to different dog parks. There's one like on South Loop that's when I have her, I take
Fred
her.
Anderson.
Yeah, I take her there. It's a little small, but she likes it.
Yeah. It's funny because for the city, like that's like I think the best dog park.
Yeah.
But you know, if you've been outside,
Oh my
I
gosh,
guess it's considered nicer out there.
So she still like doesn't like car rides too much.
Okay.
But
What's she doing in the car? She starts to pant and stuff, or
no, she never sits down.
she's anxious.
Yes.
Yeah. So we can help that with the color.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's simple. It's just don't be anxious.
Yeah, she doesn't jump around. She's just kind of like she's like, okay, if I just stand here, it'll be fine.
Sure.
You know. So,
Yeah. That's not uncommon.
Yeah.
So we'll keep an eye on that, and
Okay.
I can show you how to address. It's e-color makes that very simple.
Okay.
Let me think. So we covered the program. So yeah, you're right in the 6-week range.
Okay.
The collar is simple because she's 40 pounds. Because that one is meant for 70 pounds and under.
Okay.
So it's right from her
Not
size.
70 pounds, that's for sure.
The other collar, she's too big for.
Yeah.
The one underneath it. So we'll make sure we have enough power for her. Let me think. Oh, so in terms of the training and like commitment and like time and practice, is you just practice as you go about your day with Raleigh here.
Okay.
So like anytime you go for a walk, those would be when you're training.
Okay.
Okay. The one command that will require you to like set time aside and like practice is the recall. Okay.
Yeah, that's so like I work 8. I'm fired, so I work 8 days a month. So like I have plenty of time to like work on that stuff.
Sure.
She's homeschooling now,
Sure.
so we can like jump in the car, go to the park, and work on it for an hour or two.
Nice.
So that's what I was. That's why I was like, now's the perfect time because we're kind of in that. I mean, unfortunately, COVID's here, but she's now her availability now to really work with the dog and do like real training is available.
Right.
So that's why I was like, let's do this.
Yeah, sure.
That's the way I looked at it anyway.
Yeah, it's very straightforward. It's very simple.
Yeah.
The concepts all make sense to the human, make sense to the dog.
Right.
Essentially, what we use is what's called pressure work,
Okay.
which means we start low, we work our way up to find what's the number that's going to be appropriate to Raleigh in that particular context. Okay, which is what they do for humans. When they put the machine on, they'll tell us when it becomes too much, and they start to raise it up, and then you say, oh, that's too much, and then they lower it, and then the machine does its work. It's very similar with dogs.
Okay.
I think people a lot of times think that we just come in and like just jack it up and like make the dog go, and like that was old school style of training. Training has evolved a lot since then.
Okay.
It's a pretty straightforward case here. I mean, you have a good pup, just standard obedience stuff.
Yeah.
When it comes to scheduling and time frame and stuff, Maria knows all that.
Okay, perfect.
I've learned not to talk about my calendar because I was like, oh, I think this is open, and then it's completely booked. So, the way the scheduling works is if you do the 6-week, and you pick a time, let's say that works for you, is every day, for 6 weeks plus 1, so 7 weeks, that time that you pick with Maria is your time, no one can take it from you.
Okay.
So that you have priority.
Okay.
But like, let's say you have to travel or something happens, and you have to like reschedule or push back a couple of classes.
Okay.
By the time you hit that 7th week, you've used up your priority, but you still have 2 classes.
Oh, I see.
Right? So then Maria will just contact you and say like, hey, somebody needs to book that time, you used up your priority.
Yeah.
You still have 2 classes, where else can we put you? And then you would just reschedule those last 2 classes, so you don't lose them. Okay? If you have, I know you said your schedule is 8 days on and the rest of the day off, but like I get clients that have like rotating schedules.
Oh yeah, it's literally I work 8 days a month. That's it.
Oh, nice.
So I got 1 day on and then I'm off for 3 days.
Oh well. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the time that I have. And, I mean I have kids, family stuff, but I mean there's time where I can make where we can do the training.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, we get clients with rotating schedules, and then in that case we don't do the priority thing. We just book them as they know their schedule.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it happens where I don't see them for a couple of weeks just because our schedules don't line up.
Right.
Okay. But if you know you have a consistent day that you're usually off or whatever, you just let Maria know and she would do all that booking.
Oh, okay.
With you. Okay. Any questions or any concerns? Anything?
No, nothing. I mean, once I guess she'll send me like the pricing schedule and all that. The 6-week one. I don't know how current it is with what was on the website.
I think the 6 week now on the website was like 9 something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just you, you're not with other people.
Okay.
You're doing all the training yourself, coaching you through it.
Okay.
And then if you want to like just see like, is Jesse really like good? Go to our YouTube channel.
See real.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Because you see, I always tell people watch a lesson 1.
Yeah.
Because no one knows what they're doing. The owner knows what they're doing, the dog knows what's going on. So you see it happen, and you're like, holy crap, the dog went from this craziness to like a nice calm dog. And then if you can find a lesson 2 of that same dog, you just watch that, and you can just see how quickly the progression is in terms of the training.
Sure.
And how well it sticks.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope. I just, I guess Maria sends me
Yes, I'm gonna contact, I send her an email.
Yeah, sure.
And then she follows up with like an email with like the information and stuff.
Perfect.
Just send you the link to get your e-collar.
Okay, cool.
When you get your e-collar, the appropriate one of course.
Yeah.
Read the book, and I always suggest that you test it out, not on the dog, but just turn it on, you know.
Guess what you're
mess with the settings and stuff.
Yeah.
The dial goes in increments of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 127.
Gotcha.
Play with the dial. And if you see if it jumps from like 5 to 35 very easily, you have a limit. Okay?
Oh, gotcha.
It shouldn't go 5 to 35. It should be very subtle.
Yeah.
Because that does happen where the owners will order the collar and not test anything. And then when they come in, I'm like, oh crap, this is a bad collar.
Right.
Okay? Because it is electric. Sure, it does happen. So if that happens, you just send the collar back to Maria like, hey, I'm not sure if we're going to have our collar in time. And we can either bring a loaner,
okay,
or until you get yours, or you just push it back until you can get yours and test it out and make sure you have the correct one. Okay, that's not a problem. And I think that's pretty much it.
All right. Oh, that sounds good. I mean, like I said, the things you pretty much touched on, like exactly the stuff we want to get done.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 10 years, and like I've learned, you know, there's the important stuff and stuff that people don't really care about, and then of course just like explaining the e-collar and like why people would need it afterwards and stuff like that. And like, well, if the dog's gonna be off leash, like you just.
I was just curious. I didn't know. Like,
you're perfectly fine. But that's like one of the most common questions. Like, because most people think like, well, if I train the dog should just do it.
Right.
I'm like, nah, even humans do that.
I have kids, so like,
you know, you know what I mean? And then for sure, you know, either talk to your friend about that raw diet.
Yeah. Is there what's it? Kaiser's, you said? Kaiser's? Is there one nearby?
Well, there's one here if you go to Belmont.
Yeah.
And you go east.
Okay.
And it's over by Sheffield and Belmont, which is right by the Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah, then I can
so you can just go there and go south. Yeah.
We'll just stop by there. We'll grab something different so that we can maybe just, stop getting rid of the stuff she's eating now. Because I know, especially, I was brushing her today.
Yeah. Like I saw, like when she was standing there, I could see the fur coming down. And I saw the redness. So I'm like, that's usually dietary.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you just do that, go to Belmont, east on Belmont, all the way over to Sheffield. Craig is right there, and then Lakeshore Drive, not even more than like 5 minutes away from there.
Alright, sounds great. Well then I'll just look forward to the email and stuff. We'll get this started.
For sure.
Alright, thanks for your help and all that stuff. You got any questions? You ready to do this? Yeah, don't be so
Yeah, if you have anything that you may have forgotten to ask or any concerns, just let us know.
Sounds good, man.
But like I said, I always recommend people check out the channel, and then they can see it's uncut. Very transparent with people.
Yeah.
Like, this is how it works.
Yeah. Sounds good.
No, I forgot it. Alright. Hopefully that's a smaller file size though.
Oh, you're still recording. Whoopsies.